Hello everyone. Today, to continue our journey, you're standing in Pompeii, a thriving Roman city where history is written every day. If you enjoyed this journey, like the video, subscribe to Step into History, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next city.
The year is 79 AD. We are in Pompeii. Roman Emperor Titus is in power. The sun rises over the glittering coastline of the Bay of Naples, illuminating a thriving, hyper-connected jewel of the Roman Empire. Mount Vesuvius dominates the skyline to the north, but it does not look like a jagged, terrifying volcano. It looks like a massive, peaceful, flat-topped mountain. Its slopes completely covered in lush green vineyards and sprawling olive estates. Using AI trained on the most meticulously preserved archaeological site on Earth, surviving Roman frescoes, and detailed historical records, we have completely reconstructed what 24 hours in this bustling city actually looked like. We are not looking at gray ash and silent ruins. We are looking at the city in full, brilliant color, exactly as it was during the height of the Pax Romana. Imagine stepping over high stone crosswalks in flooded streets, reading fresh political insults painted on bright red plaster, and dealing with the suffocating heavy smell of fermenting fish sauce from dawn to midnight. This is the real, unfiltered daily life of a Roman metropolis. Let us step back nearly 2,000 years. Dawn. The sky over the Campanian plain shifts from deep indigo to bright gold, and Pompeii is already moving. The city does not rely on a local river. It is by the incredible Aqua Augusta, a massive aqueduct that brings fresh mountain water directly into a towering Castellum Aquae, a water tower at the highest point of the city. From there, lead pipes hidden beneath the sidewalks distribute the water to dozens of carved stone fountains located at almost every major intersection. The heavy, rhythmic grinding of stone begins to echo down the narrow alleyways. The massive commercial bakeries, like the bakery of Modestus, are firing up. Giant hourglass-shaped mills carved from volcanic rock are being turned by blindfolded donkeys grinding imported wheat into fine flour. The bakers are working in sweltering heat, sliding flat, scored, circular loaves of bread, the famous panis quadratus, into blazing wood-fired ovens. The warm, comforting smell of fresh yeast and baking flour drifts through the streets, mixing with the cool morning air. People are walking to the corner fountains with heavy bronze jugs to collect their daily water. But there is a slight, unusual hiccup today. The water pressure is strangely low, and a few of the public basins have completely dried up. Deep underground, shifting magma is silently warping the local water table. But the citizens of Pompeii do not know what magma is. They simply grumble about the city's plumbing, fill whatever jugs they can, and continue with their morning. By the time the sun is fully up, the streets are packed. Walking through Pompeii requires careful navigation. The roads are paved with large, irregular blocks of dark volcanic stone, but there is no underground storm drain system for the streets themselves. The roads act as open gutters for rainwater and overflow. To keep your leather sandals clean, you use the stepping stones, massive raised blocks set right in the middle of the street intersections. They are spaced perfectly so that the wheels of passing wooden carts can fit right between them, but pedestrians can cross without ever touching the muck below. The stone streets are scored with deep, permanent ruts worn into the rock by decades of heavy cart traffic. You pass by a Folonica, the Roman equivalent of a commercial dry cleaner and laundry. The smell here is sharp, acrid, and unmistakable. Romans wear heavy wool togas and tunics, which are incredibly difficult to wash. Soap has not been invented yet.
Hello again. If you've made it this far, subscribing to my channel, Step into History, really helps me. Now let's continue where we left off.
Instead, the fullers clean the grease and dirt out of the cloth using ammonia, and they get that ammonia from human urine. They leave clay pots on the street corners for passers-by to use, then collect the liquid, let it age, and mix it with water and special clays in massive stone vats. Workers stand waist-deep in these vats, stomping on the clothes to clean them. It is a harsh, deeply unglamorous job, but it is an absolutely essential industry that keeps the Roman elite looking pristine and perfectly white. By mid-morning, you reach the Forum. This is the sprawling, magnificent main entrance to public life. It is a massive, open-air plaza, paved in pale travertine stone, completely surrounded by a majestic two-story colonnade. At the northern end, the towering Temple of Jupiter dominates the space. Standing on a high podium, the noise hits you immediately. The Forum is bustling with merchants, politicians, and everyday citizens. On the eastern side stands the Macellum, the grand indoor provisions market. The center of the market features a circular pool where fresh fish from the Bay of Naples are scaled and sold. You hear a dozen different dialects of Latin, mixing seamlessly with Greek and Oscan. Stalls are overflowing with figs, olives, woven wool, and imported bronze tools. But the most distinct, overpowering feature of Pompeian commerce is the smell of garum. It is a heavily fermented fish sauce, brewed in massive clay vats, left out in the hot sun for months at a time. It sounds incredibly pungent, but it is the absolute foundation of Roman cuisine, acting as a rich, savory flavor enhancer used on almost every dish. Pompeii is famous for its garum, exporting it in distinctive stamped clay amphorae across the entire Mediterranean. It smells incredibly heavy, but it makes the city's merchants exceptionally rich. You walk down the Via dell'Abbondanza, the street of abundance. The facades of the houses are coated in smooth plaster and painted in vibrant, impossible colors. Deep, striking reds, brilliant yellows, and stark whites. But the walls are not blank. The Pompeians document absolutely everything on their walls. Political advertisements are painted in neat, bright red letters by professional sign painters, urging citizens to vote for specific magistrates in the upcoming municipal elections. Next to the formal political ads are thousands of casual, hastily scratched graffiti. There are lines of poetry, complaints about local landlords, reviews of the food at the taverns, and inside jokes between friends. One wall reads, "I admire you, wall, for not having collapsed at having to carry the tedious writing of so many writers." The city is a living, breathing social medium, carved directly into the plaster, buzzing with unfiltered human thought. By noon, the intense Italian sun is baking the pavement. The wealthy retreat to their shaded villas, but the working class heads to the Thermopolium. This is the ancient equivalent of a fast food restaurant. There are over 80 of them scattered throughout Pompeii. You walk up to a large, L-shaped masonry counter, beautifully decorated with bright frescoes of roosters and ducks. Set directly into the stone counter are large, deep clay jars called dolia. The vendor serves hot food directly from these jars. You hand over a small bronze coin and receive a bowl of hearty lentil stew, a chunk of salted cheese, and a piece of flatbread. You wash it down with wine that has been heavily diluted with water and sweetened with a touch of honey. Romans considered drinking undiluted wine to be barbaric. You stand at the counter, eating quickly, and listening to the incredibly loud, animated gossip of the street. By the late afternoon, it is time for the defining ritual of Roman daily life. You head to the Stabian Baths, the oldest and largest bathing complex in the city. The baths are not just for getting clean. They are the ultimate social equalizer, a place to conduct business, hear the news, and exercise. You enter the apoditerium, the changing room, and store your clothes in small square niches set into the wall. You move into the tepidarium, a warm room designed to slowly raise your body temperature. The engineering beneath your feet is a masterpiece. You are walking on a suspended floor. Deep below, slaves attending to massive, roaring wood furnaces. The hot air and smoke are channeled through a hollow space beneath the floorboards and up through terracotta pipes hidden inside the walls. This is the hypocaust system, a brilliant method of radiant heating that warms the entire room without any smoke ever entering the bathing areas. You move into the sweltering heat of the caldarium. The air is thick with steam. You sit on a marble bench, sweating profusely. You do not use soap. Instead, you rub your skin with scented olive oil, and then a bath attendant uses a curved metal tool called a strigil to firmly scrape away the oil, the sweat, and the dirt. Finally, you plunge into the frigidarium, a pool of shockingly cold water that closes your pores and leaves you feeling completely rejuvenated. The echoing halls of the baths are filled with the sounds of splashing water, loud arguments, laughter, and vendors selling sweet pastries to the bathers. By sunset, the sky over the Bay of Naples turns a brilliant, striking shade of orange and violet. The intense heat of the day breaks. You leave the bustling public squares and enter the quiet private sanctuary of a traditional Roman domus. The architecture of a wealthy Pompeian house is designed entirely around turning inward, away from the noise and smell of the streets. You enter through a narrow hallway and step into the atrium. The roof has a large square opening in the center, allowing fresh air and the fading evening light to pour in. Directly below the opening is the impluvium, a shallow, elegant marble pool designed to catch the rainwater, which is then funneled into an underground system. The walls of the atrium are adorned with breathtaking frescoes depicting mythological scenes with incredibly realistic perspective and depth. The floors are covered in millions of tiny, perfectly set mosaic tiles, forming intricate geometric patterns. You move into the triclinium, the formal dining room. Romans do not sit in chairs at a table to eat. 3 large, sloped couches are arranged in a U-shape around a central serving table. You recline comfortably on your left elbow, leaving your right hand free to reach for the food. The evening meal is a lavish, relaxed affair. You are served roasted dormice dipped in honey, fresh asparagus, and fine sea urchins perfectly complemented by rich, aged Falernian wine. The conversation is slow, focusing on philosophy, the latest poetry, and local municipal politics. As nightfall, the domus is lit by dozens of small, flickering terracotta oil lamps. Before the household goes to sleep, there is one final essential duty. You walk over to the lararium, a small, beautifully painted shrine set into the wall of the atrium. This is where the household gods, the Lares and the Penates, reside. They are the protective spirits of the family and the ancestors. You pour a small libation of wine and leave a tiny offering of spelt cake on the altar. The Romans are deeply transactional with the divine. You honor the spirits of the house, and in return, they ensure the roof stays strong and the family prospers. The rituals are followed with absolute, unquestioning precision. You walk to the heavy wooden front doors and pull them shut, sliding the thick iron bolt into place. The streets of Pompeii outside are completely dark. There is no public street lighting. The city becomes incredibly quiet, save for the occasional barking of a stray dog and the distant, rhythmic crashing of the waves against the nearby port. As you lie down on your bed, a low, deep rumble vibrates through the floorboards, a minor earthquake. A small bronze cup rattles on a nearby table, and the water in the impluvium ripples gently. You do not panic. The Campania region experiences these small tremors all the time. They are a completely normal, mundane part of living in the shadow of the great green mountain. You close your eyes, the tremor passes, and the city settles into a deep, peaceful sleep. That was 24 hours in Pompeii. It was not just a tragic historical footnote. It was a vibrant, spectacular masterpiece of Roman urban living. It was a city of complex hypocaust heating, perfectly baked bread, brilliant frescoes, and walls covered in the daily thoughts of an entire civilization. When the sun rises the next morning, the top of that peaceful green mountain will violently obliterate itself. The ash and the pumice will rain down, completely burying the city and silencing it forever. But in doing so, the volcano will accidentally perform one of the greatest acts of preservation in human history. It will freeze the bread in the ovens, lock the bright red paint on the walls, and capture the exact layout of this single, ordinary Roman day for 2 millennia. They built a world of incredible comfort and sophistication, and the ash ensured that we would never, ever forget it. Thank you for watching Step into History. For a brief moment, you stepped into a world that once existed, a city that shaped history, and lives that felt just as real as ours today. These stories are more than the past. They are echoes of how we lived, built, and understood the world. If you want to continue exploring lost civilizations, subscribe and join the journey. Where should we travel next?